Hello and welcome to EPG Pathshala. My name is Vidya-mitra. I teach at the Symbiosis School of Law, Hyderabad. I handle English over there, and as a part of that curriculum, I teach both language and literature. Before I go into the details of this module, let me just state the objective as such that we basically have to do in this session. Remember, in this particular lecture, we are handling two objectives. One is to go by the famous Bengali dramatist Badal Sarkar, and Badal Sarkar had written a play called Michil or Procession. This module is typically dedicated to that particular text only, but then again that is not our only objective. Another objective is to understand through this play what was Badal Sarkar's A. politics, B. style. Remember, when we're talking about Badal Sarkar, what we must understand that the particular time that we're talking about, which is basically the mid-70s, when playwrights, especially important playwrights, were writing their immortal creations, they were always driven by their own political agendas. Now, it is another thing what was their political agenda, whether they're supportable or not. That is not the question here. The question is that we need to go into a deeper sociological and textual analysis of the play Michil, Procession, and Badal Sarkar as a playwright. So without further ado, we shall start. One thing we must understand is that Badal Sarkar, the persona, is not separate from his play. So whenever we are talking about the play, we must start with Badal Sarkar and some usual snippets about his personal life as well. Badal Sarkar was born in 1925 in Calcutta. He was by profession actually an engineer, studied in the Scottish Church College and went over to do his job in several parts of the globe. But then again, very soon he let all of those go and immersed himself completely into the sociological drama. Now, this sociological drama, Badal Sarkar had a very specific term for that, which was third theatre. Before I go into the detail of third theatre, let me tell you what exactly was happening before the third theatre. When Badal Sarkar started writing play, please remember, it was the early post-colonial time. The country is just coming out of the ashes. But at the same time, there were several fires burning here and there, and there is a huge section of the country which was the populace basically, which was trying to say at that time, raising their voice, that ye azadi chuta hai, this independence is actually a lie. Why? Because the basic difference between the rich and the poor was still engulfing, and it was increasing every day. So naturally the question arose is that what is the point of this azadi, this independence? In this volatile and iconoclastic time, Badal Sarkar came through, and Badal Sarkar was a lifelong devotee to the communist ideology, although his relation to CPI, Communist Party of India, was soured later on, but then again he never let his ideologies go. So at that point of time, it was fashionable, not only fashionable, it was considered to be a holy grail for all the dramatists to address such problems, which are both political and social and certainly financial. But then again, Badal Sarkar brought forward from the aesthetic perspective a completely different kind of theatre, which is called the third theatre. What is third theatre? First of all, in order to understand third theatre, we must understand that Badal Sarkar was influenced by several important European dramatists and drama theorists. For example, Eugenio Barba, Jerzy Grotowski, Richard Schechner, and people like that. What did they say? They say that theatre for the people should be for the people. It should be taken literally. What does it mean? It means that, first of all, the basic structure of any play, there is a proscenium, there is a stage, and then there is this audience. This binary, this structure must be broken pronto. What should be happening? The audience should be absolutely inside the play. There should be no hierarchy as such that there is a performance happening upstairs and we are watching it from the downstairs. Not really. You will have to be inside the play. You will have to yourself physically and psychologically engaging with the play itself. That was the very basic ideology of third theatre that Badal Sarkar took to heart. most of his play, not only Mitchell, but Evam Indrajit, and then the others, Prakolpo, Trinsho Shatabdi, all of these plays were falling under this aegis of third theatre, where the audience would be sitting, but they would be sitting inside the play. And also, there won't be any particular hero or villain or heroine or protagonist as such. There will be a chorus. This chorus, basically a number of people, 6, 7, 10, 12 sometimes, they would be coming from the audience, they would be performing within the audience, and their roles shall keep changing. There is no assigned role for one person. It will simply shift. It will simply shift, and then they would be speaking within each other. Sometimes they will be speaking individually, sometimes they will be speaking in entire cacophony, and sometimes they will be speaking all at the same time in the same voice, depending upon whatever theme Badal Sarkar is trying to present to us. So Badal Sarkar, in this way, tried to create a theatre that is at the same time hard-hitting, realistic, but then again completely unique. Realistic in the sense that you will be inside the play. Whatever is happening in the play, whatever is happening in the text itself, you are experiencing it. And this is how Badal Sarkar, at least he hoped, that the audience shall be more sociologically, aesthetically, and theoretically active. But then again, if I go into a little bit of detailing regarding this particular play, Mitchell or Procession, which was first staged in 1974 and took the entire theatre world in Bengal by storm, then maybe such points will be a little clearer. Mitchell, or the Procession, actually starts from no point. What I mean by that? It doesn't have a story. It starts from somewhere, it ends somewhere, but it completely refuses to tell a story. Remember this, whenever Badal Sarkar is writing, very common people, subaltern class, downtrodden class would be always present in his plays. And the plays shall end with a kind of hope. Why am I saying a kind of, I'll explain later, but then again it's with a kind of hope that the days shall change. But then again there is no surety that it will, because the other side, basically the oppressive side, the political side, the villainous side are always very, very strong, much stronger than this dissent. So naturally, Mitchell starts from a portion where there is a killing on stage, a killing. No bloodshed, no violence. Remember, there is no stage prop as such. There is no background as such even. There is a boy dying on stage. He's screaming. He's screaming, he's calling for help. Although this boy dies on stage, ever and ever we'll be seeing as the play progresses that the boy is constantly coming back to life. Whether he has really died, whether the death is absolutely symbolic, whether he is coming back as a ghost or as a real person, all these things are not explained. Badal Sarkar does not take it upon himself to explain things to the audience. You will have to make your own decision. But let us go on with the play. Whatever was happening at that time is, it is a history. It's the history of post-colonial India. The boy dies out of some stray violence that was happening. That might be anything. That might be political, that might be religious, that might be social, but the small boy dies. It screams, and the scream can be heard throughout the theatre, throughout the stage that the audience was also setting in. Then, from the audience, several chorus members, 6 chorus members, to be very precise actually, they would be coming forward and they would start to give you a lecture, not exactly a lecture, in different manner. For example, they would be in different parts of the stage, speaking to different set of people, different set of the audience. And by the time the play is going on, we never know who is the audience really. Who is the audience and who is the... And naturally, supposing if you are the audience, you really don't know whether the person sitting beside you with rapt attention is actually an actor or an audience. All of a sudden, that guy simply might spring from his chair and then again start giving a lecture. So the lecture would be the country, although the country's name is never taken, but we shall assume that it's India. The country has gained its independence and a new politics is on the motion, but then again, there is really no change. The same British oppression is still going on, maybe by the brown people now, but then again, oppression doesn't have any color. Now, there comes another individual character, and this individual character was played regularly by Badal Sarkar himself as as long as he was able to, is an old man, once again nameless. The old man comes through with a lot of nostalgia in his eyes. Those days when we started our procession, when we started our michil, when we started our politics of the new era, we thought everybody would be fantastic. We'd be having a new dawn, everybody would be having their own roti kapra and makan and everything. But then again, this minimum sustenance was not given to us, and we are angry now. But then again, I am old. What is happening to the new people? What is happening to the boys? What is happening to the children who are supposed to be taking this entire thing forward? For example, they are saying, Ram Nam Satya, for example, bringing a very serious religious tone inside, saying that the ultra-Hindu fascist party is on the rise. On the other hand, somebody is saying that the Muslims are no less belligerent. Then there are, from their mouth only, they would be making the sounds of, let's say, weapons, guns, and then animal sounds, as if everything is going down into a cacophony. And the whole stage shall go dark. It will sometimes be lighted, and we will see that through these people, these other 6 people, 2 individual characters, one is the boy and the other is the old man, is trying to run, they are trying to negotiate, they are trying to speak, but at the same time, all of their pleas, all of their dialogues are falling into deaf air. At the end of the play, and remember it's a kind of a short play, at the end of the play, the boy is killed once again. There is a mob, there is an angry mob that kills the boy, and the boy is lying there, dying basically. The old man comes up to him and takes his hand and says that, please rise, do not die, because there is a new dawn coming and I can hear it. And he takes that boy in his arms, sits on the proscenium and looks towards the unseen horizon and says that I can hear the voice of the new people, I can hear the voice of the new generation that shall bring the country forward, but then again, I don't know when is that going to come. And then there is a music, and then there is drop scene, the play ends. I hope I can make you understand how difficult the play is actually to digest. First of all, it is completely subverting our idea what a play should really be like. We have no idea actually. Before Badal Sarkar came into existence, we thought it would be audience and the stage hierarchy. But this time around, we really don't have any idea. We are inside the play. And by the time the play finishes, there are many reviews in many Bengali newspapers that the critics do not know what to think. But then again, to summarize the entire point, let us go back a little and let's say Badal Sarkar invented this whole scenario of third theatre, and it was adopted by many other people later on, saying that theatre should be for the people. Not only the people like us, for example, people of a certain privileged background. Not really. It should be for the people who do not go to theatre, who do not come to the theatres because they don't have the sustenance to do that. They don't have the luxury to do that. Those people, those subaltern classes must be brought to the forefront. It is a play for them. It is not a play for us. It might be a play by us, but then again it is for them because they are the majority. And in order to transcend this entire ideology up to them, we understand that Badal Sarkar brought out this radical nature of completely breaking the third wall, looking towards the audience and doing all sorts of crazy things that we generally do not happen, that you generally do not see in the theatre scenario as such. Before we wrap it up, also understand that it is a chorus all the time in Badal Sarkar, in Michil. All the time it's a chorus. Sometimes individual characters shall appear, but then again their roles shall be changing. One old man doesn't mean one particular actor. It might mean several other actors playing the same old man. That also gives us a sense that whoever is playing whatever on the stage, that might be anybody. That old man or the boy, is he the only person who died? That boy over there killed. Is he the only person to be killed? No, not really. Same thing with Badal Sarkar is that is not the only person. It is just a symbol, a symbolic representation of the countless victims that gave their life in order to bring a better tomorrow. Badal Sarkar has written many plays. I personally would suggest for future references one single play of his, which is basically another fantastic representation of the theatre. It is called Evam Indrajit and Indrajit. It is available in English translation and very famous throughout the country and beyond. Actually, I think it's quite clear by now that this play is politically motivated. But at the same time, I think if we look a little bit closer, we will understand that Badal Sarkar, unlike Utpal Datta, about Utpal Datta we will be reading about in a separate module. Unlike Utpal Datta, he is not pointing his finger towards a particular brand of politics. What he is basically interested in is ideologies. Ideologies and their conflicting ideas. For example, Badal Sarkar once did this play, which is based on the very famous novel by Howard Fast, Spartacus, and he takes the entire scenario back to the ancient Roman civilization, where there is a slave rebellion happening at the time. So in Spartacus also, we will see that this thing is very particular in Badal Sarkar, that he never wants to engage himself with a particular brand of politics. We understand that he is leftist, yes, but what sort of leftist? There are several fractions in leftism. CPI, CPIM, CPI-ML and all that. Badal Sarkar is not interested in that. He was associated to CPI in the beginning of his career, but then again later on he totally let it go. Also his relation to CPI in the later stage was totally soured. So then again, we have to understand that Badal Sarkar is trying to avoid the basic nature of political name calling, because that is not his brand of politics. His brand of politics is to make the people aware that such and such things are happening around them. As it is with his stage direction, as I said, which is completely open, gives a lot of effort in order to restore independence between the audience and the actors over there. Freedom is his personal thing, his personal agenda, and he wants to give the freedom to the people, to the audience who are critiquing it, who are engaging with it. They should be having their own freedom. After that, learning from the play, if they want to go towards the right or the left or the center, that is not Badal Sarkar's concern. That is, according to him, his difference between a dramatist and a social worker. So, and before we try to sum it up, let us concentrate on two other facts. Remember, Badal Sarkar was writing the play and it was first staged in the year of 1974. It was a very important political time. It was a very violent political time, because in 1971 and a little, if we go into the mid-60s, there was a huge thing happening, especially towards the eastern and the southern part of India, called Naxalbari Andolan. Basically the Naxalite revolution. It was a very violent and an extremely controversial ultra left-wing revolution, which said that, first of all, the cities are basically the political powerhouses of the bourgeoisie class, the middle class and the people who generally take away all the money. So these cities shall be surrounded, and here is also an interesting thing, shall be surrounded by all the villages. Why? So that their influence, all this centripetal distance, the centripetal, let's say the centripetal gravity of power being accumulated amongst the city people, that can be completely upset, because the majority of our country and the majority of the poor people, they live in the villages only. And whoever has got the tools in order to do agriculture, the land should be belonging to them. Badal Sarkar, as we know now from his biography, he was completely for the Naxalites. By 1971 to mid-70s, Naxalbari Andolan was on the waning side, because at that time the Congress government took very, let's say, very violent steps against the Andolan as well, and they killed off more than half of the population who were involved in this in some manner. Badal Sarkar was writing Mitch Hill as a reaction to this. But remember this, Whenever I'm saying that Badal Sarkar was a leftist or he was in sympathy with the Naxalbari revolution, does not mean that Badal Sarkar is basically shutting his eyes and shutting his ears and just going with the flow. No. Why? Because there is a point in Michel which starts from this. For example, in the post-colonial time, 1947, they start saying after the independence has been begotten, after the people started thinking that they have been shortchanged financially, they went towards leftism. And then they started saying this nara, this slogan, "Ye azadi chuta hai, bhulamat bhulamat." They start saying this, the entire chorus. And then it slowly turns towards gibberish. It just goes on into gibberish, and you cannot really make out what they are saying. Badal Sarkar, the clever person that he was really, he is trying to say through this that although it started, the leftism in India started with a very noble cause, we are actually on the waning side now, and they are fighting between themselves. And this is historically proven. CPI-ML, the party that was responsible for the Naxalite revolution, they were basically a fraction out of CPI. So as you can see, we cannot be united. We cannot be united and fight for a cause, especially at that time, even now. So Badal Sarkar was playing both the role of the historian and the prophet through this particular play, saying that, although it may start anew, it may start afresh, but then again, after a point of time, it all goes into gibberish. That is the nature of institutional politics. But then again, at the end, they just look away towards a brighter future. Maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a reality, it is a foreseeable reality, but we do not know. Why? Because Badal Sarkar is pointing his finger towards us, saying that the audience who were actively engaged in this play till now, they must bring the change. Otherwise, those two people at the center, the nameless old man and the nameless dead boy, they would be lying over there forever. As I was saying, important themes in Michel are several, as you can understand. It's political. It is also about the undying zeal without the human mind in order to bring a better tomorrow. It is also about, as I say, hope cannot die. I mean, you can kill a person, but you cannot kill his hope. You cannot kill its dream. But there is another very important point, which we need to spend maybe 2 to 3 minutes on, which is state-sponsored annihilation. Naxalism is actually a more important part of this play, but then again, we shall be talking about it later. But then again, basic nature of killing. The killing in society in the name of politics or religion. The same thing is happening in Michel many a times. Remember, the same person is being killed twice or thrice. As I said over there, that this person does not mean that this person is a particular person. He has a name. Actually, he doesn't have a name. It might not be a gender-specific existence as well. It might be a boy on the stage, but at the same time, it might be a girl on the stage as well. Remember, this is actually a legion. It is many. The crowd doesn't have a face. Like in Greek theatre, the chorus would be wearing only masks on their faces. In the same manner, the boy is nameless and faceless. The only reality that haunts us throughout the play that he dies. And his dying is the only truth about the annihilation of his existence. Our question is that, and the point that I wanted to focus on, is that how he dies. He dies at least twice. Sometimes in several versions of the play, it might be thrice as well. How? First of all, he dies out of famine, out of hunger. Is that killing? Badal Sarkar will say, certainly it is. Why? Because famine and hunger, especially the late 40s hunger, the famine just before the country got independence, 1943, it was a man-made famine, as the later historians have showed us. It was a politician-made famine. Second, he dies of violence, both religious and political. Why religious? That is the simplest thing to understand in our country's context, because generally we are ready to cut each other's throat in the name of religion. It has happened several times, it will happen several times. Third is in the name of politics. Now understand this, religion and politics, these two things are not separate from each other. Religion, if it only meant like worshipping the god, then it would have been something else. But then again, religion is an industry. And Badal Sarkar tries to point his finger towards this industry that is very much intricate within the rubrics of politics. Politics is this particular thing that is permeating everywhere. It can be outside your home, it can be inside your home. It can be within the Samsad and the government houses, it can also be within the mosques or churches or temples. So naturally, when a person is falling victim to this violence purported by politics or religion, please understand that Badal Sarkar is treating these two things interchangeably. Politics and religion are basically side of the same coin. Does not mean that he is advocating that all the religions should be banished and all the politics should be gone, because then there is nothing really. A person cannot exist in isolation. But we should remember these 2 points. Wrapping it up, I think it is understandable that Badal Sarkar was an extremely radical political figurehead, and he brought politics into his play, but in a curious manner. And also remember, third theatre is a certain phenomena that changed the face of Bengali theatre, actually pan-Indian theatre, all over. And Badal Sarkar took his entire troupe from here to the other places, travelled globally, and it drew attention and controversy like magnet, whatever he was trying to do. Naturally, his political statement, his non-confirming attitude didn't earn him much friend in his lifetime, but Badal Sarkar wrote several other plays, in the same vein of third theatre. Badal Sarkar, being the leftist ideologue, brought his leftist ideology into the third theatre, and third theatre lets go of all the conventions like the props, like the backgrounds, like the expensive settings, music, light, everything. Everything depends on the body language of not one person but several chorus on the stage. I personally would suggest another particular book by Badal Sarkar, which is available in English translation, and one of his most famous plays, Evam Indrajit and Indrajit. Read it if you like to. Now for the other particulars, if you want to know more about this, then you can take help of the e-text and the learn mode that have been given to you. I hope you found this module to be useful. We shall be seeing each other again. Goodbye.